to the future Napier committee meeting. Apologies for the delay there. I will talk you through a couple of changes that we're having to the agenda as we go. So I'd like to start with apologies. I have apologies from Councillor Mawson and Councillor Tariha. Do I have a mover for those? Moved by Councillor Crown, seconded Councillor Taylor. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Call for any conflicts of interest. There being none, any announcements by Her Worship the Mayor? Right. Any announcements by management?
Nothing this morning.
Thank you very much, Darren. So just announcements by myself. I thought I'd run through procedurally just a couple of changes that we're proposing to make to the order of business today. So you'll note we have a public excluded agenda item, and the reasoning for that was that under section 7.2J of the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act, we were proposing to hold that in public excluded, not release the full district plan at the notification of the agenda to prevent improper advantage, so people having access to the draft district plan ahead of our discussions today. What I will be moving, so just foreshadowing later, is that we move that into the public now, as that reason no longer exists. So thank you for bearing with me while we worked through that. Right, I will make a call for any minor matters not on the agenda. If there is none, could I ask for a mover of the minutes of the future Napier Committee meeting held on the 10th of August be taken as a true and correct record? Moved by Councillor Crystal, seconded by Councillor Gregg. Thank you for chairing that, Councillor Crystal.
My pleasure.
All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Right. So what I'd like to do is move from the chair, and Carolyn has the wording we prepared earlier, that the paper entitled The Napier Proposed District Plan be addressed in the open, currently in the public excluded session, for the reason that section 7.2J of the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 no longer exists. Do I have a seconder to moving that paper? Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Right, so what we're proposing to do, now that we've moved that paper into the public, the second thing that I'm proposing to do is that we merge paper 1 from what was the public excluded and paper 1, which is the public. So we will address the matter of the proposed district plan all in one, and as a result, recommendation 1 from the public excluded item will be merged into our recommendations at the end of our discussion for the public paper. I hope that all makes sense. Please do ask me if it does not. So I would like to warmly welcome the members of our staff who are with us today, who have all worked on the draft district plan. Welcome to the committee meeting, and I'd like to invite Paulina up, who will lead us through the notification of the proposed district plan paper. Welcome, Paulina and Fleur.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone.
Morena.
Lovely sunny day today. I would like to present this paper on the proposed district plan. This is a momentous occasion for us as a team, as an organization, and as a city, as we see the new policy framework that would set the future of Napier and how we shape the future of Napier. The strategic objectives and outcomes that we set 5 years ago have been embedded into this proposed district plan all throughout, and we're really looking to see a Napier that is more resilient, a Napier that is more vibrant, a better connected city, and hopefully to the extent that the plan can achieve a more affordable as well for residents within Napier. I'm not going to go into much detail about what the plan is about, because you've heard a lot about the plan over the last 5 years, but I really want to touch base in terms of the procedures that we have gone through to create this document. As I said, it has been 5 years on the making, and we truly believe that this is a document that has been shaped by the community. It's a public document. we started in 2018 setting up those strategic objectives and outcomes, and we went out for the public. We heard from our Mana Whenua partner, we heard from the stakeholders, we heard from the community, and you and yourself, and you adopted those strategic outcomes. Then we created, after a lot of research and technical documents, we created a draft district plan that was notified in 2021, and that was another moment where we got all that feedback from the community, stakeholders, partners, that shape what it is, the proposed district plan that we're going to release for the public today. That document is going to be on the public for a long time. We're going to have at least 2 months of submission period, because considering it's a big document, and we're really looking forward to the next phase of this project. This is a long project, but it's very worthwhile. I can't stop. I must acknowledge the huge work that the teams behind have put together to create this document. First and foremost, my A team, the policy team, and Flair here with me, Jeriel and Heather, and also I have previous team members that are no longer with NCC here, but Catherine is here. I want to acknowledge Dean, Kim, and Nia as well, which have been really big part of creating this document, and are very proud of what we have achieved. I want to acknowledge our admin team, which is also sitting in here in the back, because they have done a humongous amount of work in uploading all these documents into what we call the e-plan. We don't have a paper district plan anymore, it's an e-plan. And they have done amazing work keeping us on track producing this document. I want to acknowledge our GIS team, Patrick and Lawrence here, who has been instrumental in getting the maps ready for a district plan. It's not only the documents, it's all the mapping that goes with it, all the layers, the opportunities, constraints, etc. It's a substantial amount of work. So they've been working really hard to get that done and available to the public today. And also I want to acknowledge as well our comms and engagement team. I know Monique is there online, but we have Michelle here and Cherie and Tammy, who has made these documents really beautiful, looking sharp and easy to read, succinct, preparing for the public to understand a really technical document. So preparing all the topic summaries and all the webinars that we're going to have available for the public as well. And obviously yourself for having the patience and the dedication to set up the direction, to give us really good direction, and to have the patience for the 50-odd workshops that we have had in the preparation of this proposed district plan. So thank you. I'm really, as I said, I'm really looking forward to the next phase. It's 2 more years to go before we have a final Napier operative plan. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paulina, and to your team, congratulations on a huge milestone being here today, bringing the paper. So what I'd like to do is open the floor. If we have any questions or general discussion, happy to take those together before we move into the recommendations. I'd like to open the floor. Councillor Simpson.
Through you, Madam Chair. Likewise, just congratulations to the team and my cohort here that have had to endure this process, but it's a really important process, and it's important that we do get it right. I've recently had some extra reading time, and I find with interest, if I refer to paragraph 3 under noise, some international cities are now banning mobile noise, i.e. noisy exhausts or people that have noisy boom boxes in their cars. And I wonder whether we've missed an opportunity in our district plan and whether it's something for us to think about as we go through the submission process. It's particularly noticeable at the moment as we have had a number of transitions over the last 3 years through COVID. We had a very quiet city, and then over time you can hear these noisy vehicles and boom boxes re-emerge. Recently we had Cyclone Gabriel, and again it suppressed the noise of our city. But from my residential location being elevated, you hear noise, a lot more noise than probably others do. But again, in more recent times, while there's been a lot of positive noise, in other words, heavy machinery moving into the rural areas past our property, and that's noise you appreciate. But again, there's that nasty accelerator noise and that nasty boombox noise, and I just wonder whether it's something through our submission process we need to consider. I don't know if there's provision within the current legislation for us to incorporate anything like that.
The noise, how we manage noise is very technical. There's definitely an opportunity to make a submission on what kind of noise we want to control, but it's very hard from an enforcement point of view and from a measuring point of view. If the noise is a very temporary activity, it's hard to measure and control. But yeah.
I can add to that. Yes, that's helpful. So yes, you're right. It is very technical. Part of the district plan, and there is a New Zealand standard actually several relating to noise, and typically they exclude those kind of mobile noise sources, like exhaust from cars and things like that. So we are, I guess, led or it's the New Zealand standards that kind of set the sort of direction for us, and obviously working with our technical advisors on what we can and can't do. But it's certainly something we can look at in greater detail through the submission process.
Thank you very much, Councillor Simpson and team. Councillor Bogue.
Through you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say I've been very impressed with the whole document, but I was really impressed with the Māori history that's included. It was very deep and rich, and I mean, I grew up in Hastings, but we were taught at high school that, New Zealand doesn't have any history, and we learned, English history and European history, and it was just so good to see so much information in this document for all to see. So there's obviously been a lot of work gone into that section, and congratulations and thank you for making it part of this plan.
Councillor Gregg.
Just to endorse what Councillor Bogus just said there, I'm really impressed with the document, and particularly to do with, Madam Chair, to do with the improving the routes and frequency of public transport. I think that's a really big thing for our city. If we can improve public transport, we'll make everyone's lives a lot easier.
Thank you. Councillor Brown.
Kia ora. Yeah, thank you. And it's, again, really exciting to be here at this part of the process. I was wondering if you could talk through what happens from here and the consultation and the hearings process, and a slightly specific question around how the hearings will run. I understand they'll be done by chapters, but just wondering what happens with those sort of supplementary documents. I'm just trying to get the structure plan for Three Waters report. How do they fit into consultation? Through the chair.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to answer your first question, the process goes for a couple of years more. So depending on how many submissions we have, we are aiming to have hearings around later next year. We have to go through further submissions first, then do a summary of those submissions, and then prepare a hearing report for the hearings. So we want to run those by topics, but in some instances where there is companies that or organizations that submit in a whole range of topics, sometimes you do them individually. So it's a mix of hearings by topic or hearings by submitter. It's a combination of both, and that is quite normal. Usually they would be about. Well, it's hard to say how many hearings do we have without actually knowing how many submissions are we gonna get. In terms of your second question, in regards to the structure plans stem from the Napier spatial picture. They were the next step on the spatial picture, which identify the areas for future growth. The structure plan tested those areas, identify the infrastructure needed to support that growth, and also make some recommendations about information about costings of those infrastructure as well, so we know about how much it's going to cost to service that growth. That would be included or informing the financial contributions or development contributions at a later stage. We wanted to give the opportunity for the community to have a look at these technical documents, the structure plans. One of them is an engineering report about Three Waters, and to question that and to provide feedback, because that is what dictates the new zones that we have incorporated in the proposed district plan. The medium density and high density areas come from these structure plans as well. So we want people to have a look at it and question it or debate the outcomes of that report as well. So we're receiving feedback in a different way than the proposed district plan, because it's a supporting document.
Thank you. Right, are there any further questions? If there are none, I'd like to ask for a mover for the recommendations. And just as I do that, I will ask Carolyn if it's possible to put on the screen that merged recommendation that we have with the previously public excluded report. If that's not possible, I'm also, essentially what we're doing, team, is incorporating the original A from public excluded, which reads, endorse the proposed district plan, in part excluding the natural hazards, sites of significance to Māori and ecosystems and Indigenous biodiversity. So that endorsement criteria from A of the previously public excluded will move to become the new E. So it slips in ahead of approve the public notification of, etc. Is everyone comfortable with that? We are disregarding the previous B, which was the release of the report into public, as we've done that now ahead of time. I think I've got general okay for that, so I will ask for a mover for that. Councillor Crystal, and I'm also happy to second that from the chair. Thank you, Councillor Brown, for indicating your support. I will pass to Councillor Crystal if you'd like to speak to the motion.
Well, it's the district plan is an amazing piece of work, and I think it's so much involved in here. I particularly like the addition of the heritage special significant areas we've added. We have such a beautiful city, and when you travel around the country and see other cities, you'll come back and go, wow, this is amazing. So we do need to look after it, but we also need to find places to build, and it is just such an involved piece of work, but congratulations, team, on everything that you've done here.
Thank you, Councillor Crystal. I'm happy to speak as the seconder as well. I know we've had a draft district plan, and today we're going to hopefully have a proposed district plan, and then in a couple of years' time, after we work through what is another major set of milestones for this project, hopefully we will have an operative district plan, which is the end game here. You know, a big shout out to the team as they've worked through the addition of new legislation which required us to have a national standardised template for this, an E-plan, which comes with new formatting, new categories, new descriptions, etc. It has been no small feat. I think the planning teams, the GIS teams, our administrative support teams, our comms team, etc. I don't think there's been really an area of council that hasn't needed to input into what is our primarily strategic direction for the development of the city. So it covers all of our rules, all of our standards, all of our zoning, how development happens, how our heritage is protected, how our natural and built environment is protected, and really sets the tone for everyone to be governed by the same set of rules in the city. So it's an interesting environment I've written down to be doing this in, where we have some RMA reform, which proposes, the 3 new pieces of legislation that I'm sure will progress during the next 2 years as well in some format. And it will be a challenge to get an operative district plan that also encompasses, our Natural and Built Environments Act, our Climate Change Adaptation Act, and our Strategic Planning Act as well. So there's no shortage of hurdles still to come, but boy, has this team made an amazing effort to get us to this point. As I read through the draft district plan, I can see all of the guidance that our governors and this table has given the team throughout all the many years of workshops we've had on this. So I'm really proud to also be supporting the recommendation here to endorse it and to release it for public notification. With that said, I'd like to ask if there's anyone else who would like to speak to the motion. I'm happy to open standing orders to allow if more than one would like to. Your Worship.
Thank you, through the Chair. Look, just want to add my thanks to those that have already been given. This has been a huge undertaking, and as the Deputy Mayor said, I think it has touched every part of our organisation at some stage over the last 5 years. And certainly as governors, we've been an integral part, and we've been incredibly well supported and guided by yourselves as we navigate, the formation of this proposed district plan. I think the Deputy Mayor has covered off incredibly well the challenges, the process, and how this actually sets us up going forward. And I think certainly this proposed plan also enables us as a council to better influence any future planning and strategic documents at a regional level. We do know that there is a shift at the moment to really considering particularly big strategic processes and planning at a regional level. That includes the regional spatial plan and the future development strategy, which we are working on with Hastings District Council. So this proposed district plan is going to be a pivotal part about how we move forward with those regional decision-making processes and strategic documents. So just once again, thank you all so much, and really looking forward to hearing feedback from our community. We know it will be mixed. We know that there will be some things that some people potentially want to ask a few questions on. We will navigate that, and looking forward to the next 2 years as we move towards full adoption of an operative district plan. Thanks, team.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't see any further speakers, so if that is the case, I will like to put the motion, which is A through to G. All of those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimously carried. Congratulations. Thank you, team.
Yeah, so thank you. So to honour, I guess, acknowledge that this is a big occasion for us, we'd like to sing a waiata. And the waiata that we've chosen is one which is about unity, about people coming together. You've all spoken today about the massive effort from a huge team coming together, and that there is also strength in diversity. Diverse voices, diverse backgrounds, cultures. So, and I guess in the sense of unity, we would love it if you could join us as well. So we'll be singing Tu Te Mai.
Mai nai wi, ta tau ta
That was beautiful. Thank you, team. All right. So we're moving on to item 2 in our public agenda, which is the Officer Accommodation Program delivery, which Darren is going to lead us through.
Morena, councillors, I'm not sure I can follow the beautiful singing. I don't have that kind of voice. Thanks for the opportunity to present this to you this morning. This is to look at the business case for the development of our civic administration accommodation. This business case went through the Better Business Case model from MB. So that is around 5 different cases. And what's critical here is that they outline the case for change. I think our one is reasonably obvious. We have a need for accommodation. And then it looks at different critical success factors and investment opportunities. What this paper is looking to do is endorse what is in the PwC business case around developing our own asset, the Library Tower, and exploring ways around how we can deliver that best. The PwC business case indicates a sell and lease back option. What the paper also outlines is we need now to do due diligence on that process. And once that due diligence is complete, we would come back to you as a body to seek further endorsement of proceedings. That might be part of the LTP or a separate agenda item, depending on what that due diligence looks like. So part of that due diligence is to understand the strengths and weaknesses of that building. So we gain structural assessments from engineers to really test what's doable about saving that structure and reusing it for our needs and around how much accommodation we require. Also around testing the market with developers to see if it is indeed viable to sell and lease back that as an option for us. And also to look at some planning options around this, that also there is some planning procedures that we need to go through to allow for a sell and lease back option. As you're aware that this project also aligns very closely with TIACA, what's happening with our library, our council chambers, and sort of customer focusing side of what we do at council. So it's important that we take that into account while we're doing that due diligence to, as much as we can, align those projects to get the best outcome for our community and for us as a council as well, to have a home for our officers to do their job. And I think being in proximity to our public-facing function of the library makes a lot of practical sense as well. And also the business case indicates quite clearly, if we don't take that opportunity to do something with that asset, who would? So it's about us taking leadership to make sure that we can develop a critical part of our city. So that's essentially what it's doing. I'm open to questions on particularly the due diligence aspects and what we're going to do to test this particular business case. So open to questions.
Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. I just sort of have some doubts or some questions related to recommendation B. Looking through the business case and the report, I'm not sure whether we're committing here to the preferred option or whether we are committing too strongly to the preferred option. There is a strong leaning in the business case for sale of the asset, and I'm just not sure whether we're actually well enough informed to, at this stage, agree with the sale of the asset that is the preferred option in the business case that's presented. And I just wonder whether we need to be just really clear on the process as to when we as a council will be making that decision around the sale of the asset or retention of the asset and continued ownership.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. So, Darren, I think the question here is around providing some clarity around that future pathway and what we are agreeing to today in terms of the due diligence thinking on that.
Absolutely, through the chair. I think it's around making sure that due diligence is robust and that we're coming back with options around that preferred option. So that preferred option may be the sale and lease back, but we need to be absolutely clear how we'd actually deliver that, what is the process, how we're engaging with that market to get it across the line, and particularly for me, how that aligns with the overall LTP and our overall capital spend, making sure that this is all affordable and that we're laying across the whole picture of what we're doing as a council. So absolutely, we would come back with an options for you to approve as a body.
Councillor Simpson.
Through you, Madam Chair, just for point of clarity, we actually don't have a preferred option at the moment. That's the point I'm trying to make, is that I don't believe we have a preferred option, but we're approving here to proceed with a preferred option.
Through the chair, I suppose it's around which option within that business case do we do the due diligence on. So PwC have done due diligence on the 5, so A and B, so it's really 6 options within that business case to get us to a point to do more due diligence. So there is a preferred option within that business case that we now want to take up to explore in more detail. That will then lead to further decision of council to actually activate that option.
So if I can just provide a little guidance in terms of process, I think what the officer's recommendation is that we take the preferred option from the business case and approve them progressing with due diligence on that. It is a decision of this committee whether or not we would like due diligence done on more than just the proposed preferred option in the business case, noting obviously what the officer's recommendation is to target that due diligence on the preferred option. So that is something that this committee can make a decision on. I could potentially, just listening to your discussion, Councillor Simpson, propose that when we come to the resolution on this, that we include a note that the due diligence including options will be reported back to council, including setting out a course of action for decision making, which I think is a summary of what you're seeking. So happy to sort of foreshadow that we can add a note to that effect. But I'll let the conversation carry on as well. Councillor Gregg.
Thank you. Through Madam Chair. In reference to the structural assessments from engineers, do you have any kind of time frame of how long that would take?
We hope to have the engineer assessment back by November. So we'd undertake that if we get approval today to crack on as soon as possible. We have engineers allocated to our current project, so it makes sense for them to carry on because they already have seen some assessments of that building, for them to do that at speed.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes, sorry, Councillor McGrath.
So we're going to be assessing this building again for the 3rd time, is that correct?
It's through the chair, sorry, it's slightly different. The original assessments was an NBS. This is its ability to get from its current NBS to a higher NBS. So the original one was giving it a DSA rating, which we know I think is around 25%. So how do we get it to a higher DSA? So the engineering assessment will probably give us 2 options, probably around a 75% or a higher banding, like towards a 90%, because it's all down to the level of intervention you take in that building. The must-do is the stripping off a lot of what's weighing that structure down. So it's a heavy beast of a building, and that, excuse my language there, but the annex is pulling strength from that building. The stairwells are doing the same. Those concrete walls are, the cladding, the spandrels that have not been used for decades are also quite heavy that can be removed. So by lightening that structure, that instantly helps improve its rating. For what other interventions do we need to do to make sure it can be done to a high level of accommodation needs? There's no point in us remodelling a building that then does not meet our assessments or needs for offices.
Great answer.
Thank you, Darren. Councillor Price.
So just in a nutshell, if we get unhappy with the preferred option, we can pull out.
Through the chair, absolutely. If the due diligence is bringing up challenges to that options, we would want to bring back further ones from that business case to council.
Thank you.
This one here is option 1. That's the option. That's the preferred one.
That's option 2. Option 1's the one that doesn't work.
I'm just thinking in regards to the discussion, if it would also be helpful to have in our resolution, just drawing councillors' attention, not that these are numbered actually, page, I think it's 106, which is option 2 of the business case, which is the preferred option that we are agreeing to pursue into further due diligence. if that would be helpful to have that in the resolution as well. I'm getting nods, looking at Councillor Simpson as well, which I think helps with your initial thinking. So I'll ponder on how we do that, and if there's any further discussion, happy to carry on with that as well. Okay, I'm not seeing a whole lot more discussion, so if we just work through what we're happy with the recommendation to be. So at the moment we've got endorse the civic accommodation business case, probably like an amendment to B, which is to approve progressing the preferred option as set out in the business case, in brackets option 2, through to due diligence development.
Through due diligence, because you're doing that development.
Yeah, through due diligence development. I think it can just end there. Yeah. Endorse the civic accommodation project delivery plan. And then D would be note the due diligence. Beg your pardon? Yes, so D would be note the due diligence, including options, will be reported back to council, along with setting out the decision-making pathway. Making that up as I go. Please feel free to participate if there is any better wording. The decision-making pathway.
Setting her outline.
Councillor Price.
The decision-making pathway, what's that?
For a decision on our preferred option, whether or not we accept the due diligence and make a decision on progressing with any of the options presented back to us in the due diligence.
Yeah, just make it tighter than a pathway that endorsing the recommendation, or I don't know, something.
I think
Setting out the final asset decision-making pathway. What have we got at the moment? Right, so we've got it up on screen now, which is helpful. Thank you.
I can't read it.
Could we zoom in?
We're all blind.
That's a pretty good glasses, don't even get that far. I can read it.
Yeah.
You scroll and scroll.
No, I can't.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Through the chair.
Yeah, thank you.
I guess I just wondered, do you need that additional recommendation, which I see getting a little bit tied up on, because we wouldn't have delegations to make those decisions.
Yeah.
So that couldn't happen, because officers don't have delegations to make decisions in terms of the preferred options. So we would, just by the process, we would have to bring it back to you anyway.
Yes, I think I'm just hearing from the conversation at the table that they wanted some certainty.
So you do have certainty, because we don't have delegation to make that decision. None of us would be empowered. It's not delegated to myself or either the executive directors to make those decisions. So it would have to come back through the appropriate process. I think what you're probably asking is what that process is, which we could provide, but I don't. My suggestion is you don't need to make a recommendation to do that, but you could ask us to take an action to circulate after this meeting the process.
Okay, and we're talking about the process for once the due diligence is completed. Okay.
We don't have, as I say, we wouldn't have any delegated authority to accept and move forward with anything other. We would need to bring it back to council to progress to the next stage. But I think where perhaps there's some confusion is about that that timeline of decision making and stage gates, which we can, as a project, we can circulate to you.
Thank you.
Through the chair, I could probably give a bit of clarity around that. There will be a project execution plan that would follow our standard project governance model. So there is a project control group, which our Executive Director of Corporate Services is the chair. And then there is also the development, which is in my paper, around a programme board, which would have an independent project advisor, or programme project advisor, to offer us guidance around the decision. Then that would go to ELT, and then that would then come back to council. So once that due diligence is done, it will go through what's kind of known in programme management speak, the kind of 3 layers of risk management before it would come to you for that final decision. And it's the same methodology that we're showing in our projects for Tiaka as well. So there is those 3 kind of clear gateways that we need to come through, and then for you for final decision.
Could I get a feeling from the table whether or not we'd be happy to remove D and replace with an action something along the lines of request a detailed next steps memo be circulated, which details the process for the project decision making post progressing with due diligence? Is there a level of comfort, Councillor Simpson?
Through you, Madam Chair, or do we just need to extend B to indicate reporting back to council at appropriate stages?
Talk me through your thinking, please.
Well, the Chief Executive's advice
Yep.
and the way the project has been described, I think that we've got the safety nets in place, that no rash decisions will be made without us thinking them through. So I think all we need to do is make sure that the recommendation demonstrates that it will be reported back to us, and then it's on us to make sure that we receive the appropriate report.
So what wording would you be proposing to be?
Through due diligence with appropriate reporting back to council, keeping it reasonably simple.
Is there any
And that's deleting the D.
deleting D? Your Worship.
Thank you, through the chair. I'm just wondering, we do have the detailed project program plan, which has dates allocated against it, and there's a section there around the requirements briefing and due diligence. I just wonder if it's as simple as including in there
Gateways.
the reporting back to
decision
council
making.
for confirmation of the preferred option.
Yep. So if we could amend C, endorse the civic accommodation project plan with the amendment of council decision-making gateways? Is that's what we're talking about, aren't we? C, the project delivery plan? The existing C?
Yeah, is that referring to the detailed
Yeah.
one, Darren?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
With the inclusion of council decision-making gateways?
On the preferred option, maybe make it specific.
On the preferred option. I think I've got a level of comfort for the removal of D. Councillor Simpson, if you could have a read of B there, that's got your addition in it.
Yeah, I'm more than happy with that.
All right, there's been lots of great foreshadowing of recommendations there. Thank you for that. If we have no further comments, I think I'll ask for a mover for that on the board. Moved by Councillor Simpson, seconded by Her Worship Mayor Wise. Over to you, Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, through you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I think, this is really important. It's just a shame it's taken so long, because this is, an organisation's heart is where its staff are, and at the moment our staff are divided between 3 buildings. And it's something we've got to get over and something we need to progress reasonably rapidly. And I think it's really important that what we've done here is refine the scope of what we're now asking staff to look into. And I think that's really important, and I think it shows to the rest of our staffing that we're progressing this piece of work, and they will see the horizon where one day they'll all be again under one roof, and I think that's the important objective of this piece of work. So, yep.
Lovely. Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Mayor Weiss.
Look, just want to say thank you to everybody involved in the business case. I found it to be very detailed, provided a great understanding around the options that have been considered. It can clearly follow the decision-making path as to the preferred option that's been put in front of us to proceed with due diligence on that. And look forward to the next phases.
Thank you. If there are no other speakers, I think from myself, I would just say it makes a lot of sense to try and line these two projects up. I think our community probably don't look at them as two separate projects, the old library tower and our building of a new library, and so it's great to be able to progress with the business case to line them up as much as we can and deliver together is again the end game here. So thank you, Darren, for all your work on that. No further speakers. I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Can I read it after? That's right, sorry. Right. We will move on to item 3, and I'd like to invite Luke Johnson to join us for our resource consents activity report. Thank you, Luke.
Kia ora. The purpose of this report is for a resource consent activity update. In the 6 weeks since our last meeting, the number of resource consents that have been received have continued to remain less than the 12-month period before by 20%. The split of applications that have been received between land use and subdivision have remained the same. And the number of resource consents that have been issued in that last 6-week period was 57, which is 10% less than what we issued in the same period 12 months ago. So that's quite that's reassuring that the guys are still pumping out the work. By way of update, I have 3 applications that are quite noteworthy. The first being a 59-lot subdivision at 68 Franklin Road. That application is currently under assessment. It's proposed 59 lots over 3 stages. There has been a peer review of all the expert reports commissioned, so the application is currently on hold awaiting those peer reviews to come back. The 2 Kangora applications are both on Lowry Terrace and Mariwa, and then also on the corner of Lowry and Bedford Road. Each of those developments propose 9 dwelling units and associated earthworks. Those applications are also currently under assessment and expected to be determined in due course. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Luke. So just a reminder to councillors, this is for our information to note applications of significance or interest coming through for visibility. If there's no questions, I will ask for a mover for the motion that we note the resource consent activity update. Moved by Councillor Taylor, seconded by Councillor Gregg. Any comment? There being none, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thank you very much, Luke.
Thank you.
All right. We will move on to the City Strategy Key Projects update, and I'll ask Darren to present this paper to us.
This is an opportunity to update on 6 critical projects that the City Strategy Directorate is working on presently. We're looking to receive this report, and if you have any particular questions about any of those 6 projects, I will do my best to answer any of those questions, and if I don't have the answers, the great crew next to me over in the seats there will also try to answer them as best we can.
All right. right, so we have project updates for Te Aka, the Ahuriri Regional Park, the draft proposed district plan, now notified proposed district plan, the future development strategy, our bylaw and policy review program, and our climate action program. Just open for any questions on any of those projects. No. All right, there being none, I'll ask for a mover that we receive the report titled City Strategy Key Projects. Moved by Mayor Wise, seconded by Councillor Crown. Any comments?
Through the chair, look, just to say this is a really fantastic report, both for us internally and also for any of our community members who do happen to jump online onto our website and check out our agendas. It's really good to have these really good summaries, essentially, as to where we're at with what are our key projects at this point in time. So pleased to see it on the agenda, and thank you very much.
Thank you. If there's no further comments, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. And I would like if we could all stand for our closing karakia. Kia tau te rangamare, ke runga i ngā iwi katoa o Ahuriri. Kia piki te ora te kaha me te maramatanga i ngā wā katoa, tihei mauri ora. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.